while I'm live. So I always say this, but I'm not going to be on here long. But I wanted to come on live because I haven't been on in a while, and I haven't been feeling good. I've had, well, there was the eclipse, and like so many people, I had horrible eye strain, but mine was like that time of the month. What a way, what a video, right? Um, I often wake up with a hormonal headache, and it was, but it was in my eyes, and that's why I think that the whatever those hormones really, I call them pain hormones because I notice it kind of go around my body. Anyway, so yeah, I had horrible eye pain. Even today, I woke up and this eye was swollen, and I think there was something to that. Even with those darn glasses, I and many people had migraines and eye strain and trouble. So the eclipse was great, but also it did not come without effects and punishment. I definitely felt punished. So, but it was a beautiful experience. I noticed that as the, I'm just going to go into this because I'm going to talk about the Titanic. But as I ramble, as I often do, I talk about the eclipse because I haven't really come on and talk about it. Um, it was mostly sunlight here, and we were only 90% totality. In 2017, it was full totality here in the Midwest, but clouds, which is really interesting that that happened again for the people in the full totality. They had clouds too. Very frustrating, I know. Um, but you still felt it, and that was the thing. It's, and now with the eye strain and the headaches and migraines and all that, I can honestly say that it was better just to feel it and experience it than to actually stare at it. Maybe it's not so good to stare at the sun. And you know how they said, they were saying things like, don't let your pets stare at the, I've never noticed my pets out and out just staring at the sunlight, except for the day of the eclipse. And literally, Kitty, I took her out and she stared right up at the sun. And so did Kjarn. And I'm like, what is the deal? Maybe it's like they know something's up. Last time my pets knew something was up because they would not go outside. This time Kieran wanted to go out with me, so I let him for a while. And then I put, when I saw him staring up at the sun, I put him back inside the house. So it was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. And I felt kind of alone in it, though, to be honest, because my kids were at school, and like last time, and my neighbors didn't really seem to do anything. But my kids did text me. So throughout the process, I was getting so it's like, imagine me. It's probably why I got the eye strain. Looking at it with the glasses and then putting the glasses over my camera. I needed two of those solar glasses. Putting them over my camera, making sure I didn't look, at it with my raw eyes, putting the camera up, and then looking through the camera to get videos and shots, and then going down and texting, and then I was taking pictures and videos of the cool shadows of the crescent shaped shadows from the tree leaves, which was, I think, a very cool phenomenon when that happens. That's camera technology, the pinhole um, projection, the image of the sun, whatever it did, science and all that stuff. I thought that was really cool, and of course thought I was the only one taking a picture of it, but come to find out, everybody in the world was taking pictures of crescent shaped sunlight everywhere. Um, yeah, it was really cool. You know what's annoying though? They said that NASA sent up a rocket. It's like, why interrupt this natural phenomenon that's been around forever? It happens pretty much all the time. But why, can you imagine people taking pictures and things like that, and stupid NASA or SpaceX or whatever is up there effing it up? So typical of mankind to, let's send a rocket up there. Uh, no, let's just leave it alone. Let's just leave it to what it does and not mess with it. Anyway, I'm sure there's nobody on here, which is good, probably because I'm just rambling. I'm just the idiot rambling. By the way, I'm having hair issues today, so if you just please ignore me. So I was trying to do this Titanic thing, and I was trying to get the hair, and then I didn't get the hair, so just leave it. Um, okay, the anniversary of the Titanic. It sank in April 1912, April 14th, 1912, off the coast of Nova Scotia. Right now, they'd be on the ship, probably feeling very happy, comfortable, because it wasn't supposed to sink. They said it was never going to sink. They made it, it's luxury. It was like being in a luxury hotel on the ocean. And even in third class, you felt you were in a nice hotel and you're being fed. You're not having to work. You're actually being fed and being taken care of. So I know people say third class passengers were treated horribly. They actually weren't, not for what they were used to. Um, but yeah, I mean, compared to the first class, it wouldn't be, it's not luxurious, but for them, it was a treat. It was a total treat. Unfortunately, it came with the price of being last on the list for being saved. So I wanted to talk about the Titanic because some of the experiences I've had. Now, I've talked about, I don't know if this is remote viewing or a past life sort of alternative lifeline that I've had, but when I was a teenager, I became obsessed with the Titanic to the point where I remember I told my mother I was afraid to fall asleep because I would dream myself on the Titanic and die. I think that's just my empathy talking. I think it was my empathy picking up, but who knows? I mean, being Irish, and all that stuff, Celtic, British heritage. Of course, there's a lifeline that's close to that. I'm sure I had immigrant ancestors who were on ships very similar, not, yeah, in the passage of the Titanic and heading to America very similar. See, that's the thing too. That's the thing too about the Titanic was that third class passengers weren't really there for luxury travel. It was nice for them, but they were actually emigrating to America, mostly America, maybe Canada. I don't know. They were headed to New York. And second class passengers, yes, probably some of that, and also luxury. First class passengers, it was full on luxury. It was a luxury voyage. Now, the third class passengers, the reason why so many kids died was because they had their kids. They were literally moving all of them, everything to America. So when they died, their kids died too. First class passengers, again, they weren't immigrating, they were just traveling. So they didn't have their kids along, most of them, from what I've read. So there's stories of huge families dying who never got to go to the top deck to the lifeboats and they just all drowned. There was an entire family. The baby was unknown for years and had an unnamed grave. They finally located his body and gave him a name. So I've kind of channeled that family before. There must have been a horrible feeling when they realized that they were not going to be allowed on deck. But again, these people were not unaware of hardships and, would you say, not racism, but separatism of class and lack of privilege. And also they were closer to their God and were ready to, nobody's ready to die, but I suppose they were more spiritually attuned to, well, if I have to go, I know I'm going to heaven and I've prayed and I've done everything. You see what I mean? So first class people who were a little bit, the eye of the needle, it was less likely that a rich man could get to heaven than a camel through the eye of the needle, which is a literal passage, I believe, in Jerusalem. So I'm rambling. This is why I wasn't going to come on today, because I ramble so much. I'm so annoying. So it's good that nobody's here. But I just wanted to say, so when the Titan imploded last year, I began to have a lot of orbs in my house. And with that, a lot of activity in my house of things happening that involved water and my water heater. So I noticed a ton of orbs. So throughout the past year, I've had to go relight the pilot light at random times. Not just I thought it was my air conditioning, but no, it was just random times. It just happens randomly. But it usually does happen after I've had like a massive amount of orbs. And I've talked about or thought about the Titanic or the Titan. Now the Titan, you know, it imploded. It did not reach the Titanic. They were going down there, and fait accompli. Some of them were returning to their past life. Captain Smith, I believe, was the captain of the Titan. He had a choice. He did the same darn thing again to a T, having rich people pay to be on his faulty um, travel instrument and the voyage. And but he was faulty and he was too fast and not listening and all these things. So he had a fait accompli. He Captain Smith came back and did the same damn thing again. It's not like they went down there and like, yay, we're going to join the Titanic ghosts on the deck. You know, no, like, what am I saying? This is so stupid. This is why I wasn't going to make the video. Oh my gosh, please nobody show up. This is so bad. This is the worst video. I'll just keep going. It's my experiences with the Titanic, though. So when I started to realize all that and I channeled them, I got all these orbs, and then I would have like the water heater go out, which I feel like equates to the boilers in the Titanic. That my toilets all of a sudden randomly not overflowing because of the clogged toilet, the back of the toilet randomly flowing over for no reason. The pipe keep running. The sink doing weird things when I've talked about the Titanic before. And I told my son, I said, it has to do with the water and the boiler. It has to do with the water. And I said, I swear to God, this has to do with the Titanic. So today, I literally said to them, I think I'm going to do a video today. And then I said that. And I said, don't mess with the water. Don't mess with the pipes. Don't mess with the water heater. And I thought, you should also say, don't mess with the electricity and the internet. But I didn't say that. And right in that next minute, literally, all the power in the house went off. You know, I do feel like they want me to talk. I don't quite know what to say. I've had a year. I have channeled the Titanic before. I channeled the captain of the Titanic. What's his name? August. Why do I want to say August? What's his name? Captain Smith. We were very similar. Titan. I'll look up Titan here. Titan. Submersible. The Ocean Gate, which sounds like, actually take that Halley's Comet group. The wireless game controller and lights from Camping World. Titanic touring submersible, which suffered a catastrophic implosion. Stockton Rush, there's his name. So I wanted to say Augustus. It's Stockton Rush. He was Captain Smith. If you look at their pictures, their face structure, everything's very similar. Oh, hey, I am just sitting here. You're not too late. I'm sitting here just like rambling to myself. I don't even know if you guys can hear me. I was talking about the Titanic. It's good that you're here, though, because I can, you can ask me something, ask me anything. But yeah, I was talking about the Titanic because it's the anniversary of the sinking. And a couple of years ago, I think it was during 2020, I pulled cards and it was amazing. The cards that I got, I wonder if I could find them. Well, here's like the death card is right at the top. And tell me that's not relevant for the Titanic. It even has water. See how they're like sinking in the water. So, and I got the tower. The moon, because the full moon before they set sail had messed with the, you know, the currents from the gravity and dislodged some of the icebergs. So the icebergs were in different places, smaller pieces. And then when they sailed, the water was calm and there was no moonlight, so they couldn't see. But the biggest problem with the Titanic when it set sail, judgment. I remember getting judgment called to judge because of the separatization of classicism, first class, second class, third class, and literally allowing people to die because they didn't have enough money. It's ridiculous. So I got the star. I remember I got the star. You see, there's more water. It was faded. What else? That might have been. I may have gotten that. I should just. You know what? I'll pull the cards. But um, there had been a fire in the boiler room that melted and compromised the metal. That was the main issue. That's why when it hit the iceberg, the metal was compromised. So they had all these watertight compartments, but it really wasn't. It was just doomed from the start. The Titanic was doomed from the start. It had been predicted. Someone wrote an entire book, The Wreck of the Titan, and it even described how many passengers there would be and the size of the ship and the sinking and everything. It's amazing how that guy did that. Let's see. Okay, Titanic. What we want to do is we want to see God and angels, or spirit guides and angels, all beloved, the love, light, and divine. There's the tower. I feel like the Titanic was definitely a tower moment. 9/11 was a tower moment. Okay, show me the Titanic. Show me the Titanic. Guides and angels. Guides and angels. Show me the Titanic. The devil. That's that money, addiction to money. Ignorance of the loss of life. Anything else? Strength. Show me the Titanic. Show me the Titanic. You've shown me before. Fighting. Justice in reverse. The burden, 10 of wands. The fight. I think there was a lot of fights at the end, obviously. And some people just gave up. They felt it was their time to go, so they gave up. Moon affecting, yeah. It was really cool when whoops, I'm still here. It took me to a different page. When I got that, it made so much sense. And of course, I always go Google it afterwards. And that's what I read, that it had to do with the moon. So, and the fire compromised the metal. What was the other thing? They were going too fast. And you know what? Also, you should never tempt fate. So when they kept saying unsinkable, that they're not spending money for the extra lifeboats that they needed, they really tempted fate. And I really have always felt like you shouldn't do that. Never laugh, never yell at the wind, you know. What do we have here? The Empress. Oh, the Empress. Mothers, the children, the women and children, the passage of time. She has all the zodiac signs in there. So it'd be like all that life, the 10 of swords. There should be an ending. Tempted fate. Yeah, they totally did. Oh, my page keeps leaving because I have the worst trackpad ever that does weird things. And again, I hate this trackpad. Okay. So yeah, just minimize this. I won't have to do that. If I close my eyes, I can picture myself. I've done this many times because I have always had this weird fascination with the Titanic. And I've pictured myself on the deck. It's a sunny day, just strolling along the deck. And you could see it, hear it, feel it. The people were happy. I mean, those that weren't sick, because let's face it, a lot of those people, even by the time it hit the iceberg and sank, not everybody would be over their sickness, seasickness. And that would be me. I'd be the one who would be sick the entire time. So, but the others were happy. I get a feeling of it's a vacation. They're happy. And the sun is shining. The third class passengers, even though we say, not good circumstances, but they were in a better situation than they were at home working or having to cook meals and clean all day. I mean, the women were probably happy. It was a vacation. It was a time to rest before they went to America and had to work or take care of a new household as their spouse went off and worked. So the third class passengers were happy too, for the most part. Who wasn't happy were the guys stuck down in the boiler room. Those guys were the first to go, and the whole time were working their A off the whole time, and probably hotter than hell. Hopefully getting paid a decent amount. They probably were getting paid pretty well, I would imagine. Yeah, the top of the world. Exactly. And can you imagine those some of those women who survived had to go to America? They were heading there with a new life, and then they got a new life, but not the life they were hoping for, obviously. And yet, at the same time, I do feel a lot of people knew that something bad was going to happen, but they just didn't listen to their intuition. And I've heard stories of that. Some people did not go on the Titanic because they had that feeling. And, what can you do? That's part of life is you have to listen to your intuition. Okay, the chariot in reverse, that would be a passage or a travel that's not completed, um, at odds. The two lions at odds. She looks alarmed. She's worried. And yeah, Ace of Swords. See, when I see that this is in reverse, a lot of lies. A lot of Ismay was a coward. Now, I don't know if the story of him dressing like a woman is true. I think mostly what he did was he just out and out saw the spot on a boat and on a lifeboat and got on and turned his head. I don't know if he wore women's clothing, but I will say this: he paid for that the rest of his life. Now, I say that most of us have, all of us have, the fight and flight syndrome to survive, and you can't judge a person for wanting to survive. It's ingrained in us, unless you were trained in the army. The army, what the army does, and military, what have you, it trains you to not have your fight and flight, so you can go into war and be willing to kill or be killed. Um, but most of us have it inside of us. And so Ismay was a coward, but also he was doing what our body trains us to do, and that's to survive. So he did pay for it the rest of his life, though. There's that star again. It was fated. It was totally fated to happen. It was fated for sure. And you talk about the spirits going in a group. A lot of the people that died, um, when before they were born, their spirit said, "This is what my plan is. I'm going to do this event to teach humanity about um, that every life is important." Um, the world, the past, the world in reverse. That's again a non-completion. Eight of Cups, spilled cups. Some people made it, some people didn't, and people had to start a new journey, a complete new journey. World wrecked, everything they've known destroyed, basically. Nine of Swords in reverse. I see that, and I see someone in a berth not able to get out, and it's upside down, and it looks like the water is right. To me, it looks like water's rising from the floor or the ceiling, but for her, it'd be upside down. She knows she's not going to survive. And let's see, we have the Six of Wands in reverse. No victory. Not, they wanted to get to New York fast, before the news said they would get there. Um, they wanted to set a record that would, an achievement of speed. They were trying, it was the whole world in the new world of industrialism and steel. And um, that was like our internet and our computers and our phones and technology, or SpaceX and all this stuff and AI. To them, the Titanic was achievement of man into the new world, but it failed because they reached too far, as they say. They went too fast and they reached too far. Six of Swords. What does that look like? Okay, you're good, warrior girl. I'll keep rambling. I'll keep rambling to myself here. Six of Swords. Um, calm heads prevailed. It's as simple as that. Calm heads prevailed. That's, what I also see is the when they looked for the bodies in the water later. Hangman, hopes and fears, hangman. A lot of people had to wait, and the Titanic itself had sent out the SOS, with the new Morse code that they had, not a telegram, what is it called? They didn't have a telegram. Anyway, There were, what is it, the Americana, and the Californian thought, oh, it's a joke. They're sending out these SOS codes and flares, but it's a joke. And so they didn't come. If they had come, if they had listened, they might have been able to save everyone. Okay, the hermit. The hermit. Judgment looking down. A lot of older men, fathers, even teenage boys having to decide to give up their life to save the women and the children. Whereas a 14-year-old boy would be a child to me, for sure. Spirit guides, angels. Four of Pentacles, a lot of money, a lot of property lost. Even the men, um, some of the men, like who's the guy, Strauss, these icons, businessmen died. A lot of property lost in the sinking. The wheels of time, the wheels stopped. It's almost stopped time when that happened. Page of Cups in reverse, children lost. And the sun, the next day the sun came up, and it was part of the astrological event of humanity. The sun will rise again, even in the worst tragedy. Do any of the Titanic passengers want to talk? Let's see. You know, it'd be interesting. I'm going to do these past life cards really quick and see. Past life. Past life. Titanic, past life. Persecution and inquisition. You know, was it a punishment for the way that we treated America when we came and took over America? Is that what was it, a punishment, like a karmic punishment? I know some people say there's no such thing as karma. I totally believe in karma. It's just you're lucky if you get instant karma. Lessons and blessings, indeed. And look at that pocket watch. Time stood still. That's what that other card said. Time stood still. We'll never forget this. Never. Anything else? We have farm, knighthood, scriber, writer. That has nothing to do with it. Scriber, writer. Anything about Titanic? I think we're going to stop on that. Oh my God. Father and biblical. A child holding on to their father's hand, finger. You know, I guess one problem with it was so romanticized, giving up your life for your wife and children. Whereas, again, I think, yeah, it was a collective learning lesson. The truth is that if they had filled the lifeboats better and been more efficient, they could have fit almost everybody and saved everybody. But again, the whole thing was fated. So anything from here? Let's look at this from the Talking to Heaven, Titanic passengers. Like Coco's right here, so I'm having trouble. Coco, I can't shuffle. And Kjarn's behind me, so let me go back. Messages from the Titanic passengers. We have been together in dreams. I started off this video saying that as a teenager, I was afraid to go to sleep because I thought I was going to wake up and be on the Titanic and I would die. Okay, one more. I see all your thoughts. See, I think that, they've been hanging out with me. It does make me wonder if I was on the Titanic in one part of my life or like some sort of cell memory, which is why I'm so fascinated with it. So, anything else? Any questions? Anything else? 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 Really? That, yeah, I wonder. Maybe you were there too, because I always feel like people who are drawn to it, yes, people who are drawn to it, they um, might have had that. It's either we were on it in a past life, or we have cell memory from a family member that was on it. So, so yeah, let's try to channel. And like I said, I started off the video saying that I have had the last year has been my house water events in my house. Oh yeah, awesome. Great minds think alike, and also spiritual minds think alike when we're tuned in. It's true. It's clear that the Titanic happened because it was to show the value of life, and that there's no invention. Like, what are we here to invent if we're not inventing it to actually help each other? Um, and when you get to the point where it's a show of money, uh, then you failed. And again, as we've said, when you laugh at the wind or you challenge the wind, it often challenges you back. I've had that happen to me before. Water, Conatina's memory, and a lot of purging is happening right now in Venice. Yeah, I bet. Oh, contains memory. I bet that's true. Yeah, I speak into my water. If I can remember to do it, I try to put good things in my water, manifest. Okay, here's something. We'll be funny about it for a moment, because the whole thing about it was when the Titan. I remember when the Titan happened last year. I instantly knew it had imploded and it was gone. And during the week, when the news reports are saying, "Oh, there's banging," which my son and I laughed about that. There's banging inside the Titan, and I was like, "Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's still around, and they can still, save these people." But I knew that when I had channeled it, that first channeling I did was very intense and very clear, and it had already imploded. And I also got that they'll never, that Ocean's Gate and other submersibles would never travel down to the Titanic again in that way, with, rich people buying tickets to go. Kind of like the whole, who's the guy that does the tickets? Not Elon, but the other guy that has people pay to go up to space, luxury travel. Um, the Titanic in particular was it was an abuse of power and abuse of money. And to look at somebody who's third class, who the third class people were probably closer to the divine in their thoughts and minds and ethics. The meek shall inherit the earth. So to look at them as expendable and lesser than, that's the lesson, right? That's the lesson. And indeed, through the 20th century, with civil rights and rights for women, which are still going through all that, we really expedited the evolution of thought of uh, that we're all important, we're all worthy of life, and the journey of life and liberty. So the Titanic really was that placeholder in time to teach humanity that you'll never outrace God or the Creator, um, if you don't value life. And when I say that, I know somebody might say, "Well, what about abortion?" Well, that has nothing to do with it, because life begins with first breath. So how are you treating the living? That's life. I do believe that there can be a spirit inside, like my children. When I was pregnant, I felt their spirit, but I do believe that life begins with first breath, and when a whatever. So I'm not going to get into all that, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. It's the first breath. We need to value the living, and we so often do not value the living. Yes, although also not to rush to conclusion, but you must also listen to your gut. Then that's true. That's true. That's true. You're right. It did teach us that. And the guy that wrote the book, The Wreck of the Titan, which I think it was called Futility, he literally was channeling that from spirit to warn us. And some people did actually listen to their gut feelings, and a lot of people did not. I used to read a lot of those stories, not just of the premonitions people had, and people had a lot. There was a lot of people that had them, but the survival stories, they had to listen to their gut feelings too of how to survive, and I found that very interesting. So, why do some people survive an event like this and other people die as if they're not as important? Well, they are. It's actually a stronger soul that would choose to die so that others may live, and to teach humanity a lesson like that. That's a very strong soul. And then it's also very strong and wise to want to teach people to listen to your intuition. That's kind of an old soul type of thing. A lot of wisdom in that. And that goes back to that hermit card. Anything else? The Titan. When the Titan went down, what was the other thing? Yeah, the Stockton Rush. Looking at his picture and Captain Smith, the same face. It's like the bone structure, the eyes, the mouth, everything was exactly the same. It's just a modern guy with a game controller and Captain Smith with his hat. And the poor thing about Captain Smith was he was going to retire. That's really sad. So anyway, well, I was, I'm not really channeling anyone. I don't know if anyone wants to be channeled. I don't know. Anybody want to be channeled? I feel like I'd have to look at pictures. Anybody? Titanic. Well, have you ever seen? There's. Let's see if I can find it. This is so stupid of me, but there's a parody out there called Titanic 2, and it's where Jack is retrieved from the. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about. Jack is retrieved. I won't find it. From the bottom of the ocean. He's frozen. So they thaw him out with some goo. And then the FBI chases him around everywhere. It's called Titanic 2. And my son and I watched that. We just laughed and laughed. I thought that was, it was, yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio. Someone cleverly put clips together and made a trailer for this fake movie. But I was like, I would watch that. I would watch that movie. Anything else? Okay. The movie Titanic. So this is debatable, but when she's on that plank, it's supposed to be a board, right? Like the dining room board or whatever. And she's on there. And then he tries to get on. He only tries once, right? And then he gives up and he's like, oh, it's okay. And inside I'm screaming, it's not okay. Get your ass on that board. Move over, Rose. And the way that she's just like, oh, like, no, he could totally get on there. And I feel like, of course, the movie, it was meant to be that he would die in the movie. But just my brain physics, whatever, I'm like, he could totally get on there. If she just moves over an inch, he could get on there and they could balance it. They're already cold. What's the deal? Just do it. And then he would survive. Or maybe they would just freeze together on the board. Who knows? Because she almost did freeze to death by herself on there. But the other thing that bugs me is when he says, oh, she says, I'll never let go, Jack. I'll never let go. And then literally lets go of his hand. Yeah. That really bugs me. Now, I was saying that last year, and then there was this internet report where James Cameron said, no, we had it tested, and Jack would have not fit. Come on. I think that he would have totally. They had people that were balancing on a reversible lifeboat, one of those foldable, pop-up. If they could survive, Jack could get on that damn board and survive. What's the other thing? When she takes the Heart of the Ocean necklace and leans over the ship and goes, oops, and drops it, I'm like, no, what are you doing? It's romantic, it's supposed to be a romantic scene in the movie, but that always bugs me. It's like, no, your granddaughter could keep that and go to Cancun or something. Come on. Yeah. But having said all that, have you ever seen Warrior Girl? Have you seen one of the exhibits? Because they have they have a Titanic museum with some of the artifacts, not all, because they're sort of dispersed across America. They had a traveling exhibit here in Kansas City, at our Science City, and I got to go. See, my birthday's in April. Maybe that's why I'm also so obsessed with it. But I got to go, and you get a ticket. You go in, and they give you a ticket, and it says you get a name of one of the passengers. You haven't seen any? Look it up because you never know when they travel around. They do have a traveling exhibit, but they also have a few different museums. Like in the Ozarks, they have one, which I still want to go to. I haven't been to. I really, really want to go to. But yeah, you get to be that passenger. So you go through the tour and you see the artifacts and pictures, and they have mock, like the first class hallway. And they even have an iceberg room where it's cold and you get to touch the fake iceberg. You've been, so have I. My mother used to take us to the Ozarks. I've been to the Ozarks a few times on my own and a couple times. It's in Branson. So I really want to go because I am a nerd, obviously a huge Titanic nerd. And they say because objects have energetic residue from, whether it's ghosts or just energy from the people who passed away. Kansas City and St. Louis. Well, I'm outside of Kansas City. I love St. Louis. Ozarks is south. It's kind of like meeting in the middle a little bit. Yeah, I need to go. You need to go. Maybe we'll meet each other there. It'd be fun. But yeah, so do you see the iceberg and the fake iceberg and touch it and it's cold. And then at the end, you look on a wall and you see if you're one of the passengers who made it or if you died. I think I died. Yeah. Have you been in St. Louis? Have you been to the city museum? That's the kids museum. That is the coolest place. They took an old textile factory from like the late 1800s, and there's all these floors. Yeah, that'd be great. Maybe this summer because I want to go back to St. Louis really bad. I loved my daughter and my son and my daughter and I when they were little. I took them there a few times, and we went to that museum. This city, it's called the City Museum. There's all these different floors of. It's very Victorian. I say I love that too. I love all that Victorian stuff, and it has that feeling. And there's a big organ in the middle of the whole place where they used to throw the clothing down these chutes like a slide. Well, the slide is you can slide down it. You have to go up all these stairs. You did. It's a really cool museum. And the zoo. Haven't been to the zoo. I've been to the park where it's kind of like very Grecian. They have the museum nearby. Isn't it Jefferson Museum? Anyway, I'm still rambling. They have that cool. Janis Joplin played there, so I wanted to see it. And they had a spirit festival, it's like a African American festival. It was, and I was like, how appropriate, because Janis would have loved that. So my kids and I went, and they got to watch the fountain, and we drove around that whole park, and then I saw the museum there. But we went to the City Museum. Also, we went to Moonrise Hotel. We went to the Arch. We went to the waterfront. I love the steamboat and walking around the city. I love that old French architecture. It's just really made me happy to do that. I've done that a few times and I really loved it. So, and see, I always think I'm going to get lost, but I did great. I drove around St. Louis great. It was fun. So, the Arch, yeah. Have you gone up in the Arch? I did not because my son wouldn't go and I couldn't leave him by himself. So unfortunately, I didn't get to go up in it, but I wanted to. But it's fun to see everybody out there hanging out on the lawn because they have the lawn, and then the shade of the arch. It was a hot day, so everybody was in this shade, this arch-shaped shade, and that's where everybody was. I thought that was really funny. But I think, cool. So where we were, where we stayed, we didn't go to the Holiday Inn. We stayed in that college area. In the old part, kind of like it's the hippie area of St. Louis. And they have a bakery. They have this whole street. And we went to a cool rock and roll restaurant. It's where they have all the statues of like Chuck Berry and other people that grew up in St. Louis. Okay, and I just remembered, see, there's a wax museum there, and I have to see that wax museum, and I couldn't go because it was closed, and I really want to go see that. I was there 2 years in a row, both on February V-Day, to go up. Oh, but it breaks. See, but then that makes you wonder if it breaks down that much. Like, oh my God, I don't know if I want to go up now if it's going to break down all the time. It kind of scares me. They have a museum under. Yeah. Have you ever watched the documentary of how they built the arch? That's terrifying, but it's fascinating too. And um, the video of people going up in those elevators, and then you have to walk the rest of the way. I still want to do it. I would do it, but I'm telling you, if there's a strong wind and that thing sways, I'm I'm out of there so fast. I'm gonna get the hell out of there. It's scary. Well, we got to this topic. Yeah, I want to. I really want to go. My sister went down to Crystal Bridges in Arkansas. That sounds cool, but I just, I really want to go see that Titanic museum. And there's a lake. There's a museum by the lake that I think looks really pretty at the arch. Okay, cool. I love St. Louis. It takes 3 hours for me to get there. And if I take the scenic route, it would take longer. 3 hours is going through Columbia, and that's usually where I stop to get gas and food. The drive to is much more fun than the drive back home, that's for sure. Especially when you have kids. I got to do that. I haven't had a vacation forever. Like literally, it's been since before the pandemic. I have not been on a vacation. So I need to do it. Well, that's about it. That's about it. Yeah. Yeah. You know how when you start off on a road trip, you're like, we're going to do this and you're going to do that. And you do it all. And then you're like, I just want to get home. I just want to get home and take a bath. It's hard. And driving, I am not, I used to love road trips, but I have restless leg syndrome and driving is not as much fun as it used to be. So, the fish, oh, in Theory of a Dead Man. Wow. The last concert I went to was before the pandemic. I saw Bob Dylan. Advent Big Theater. Yeah. They probably changed their name. You know how these places change their name all the time? It probably was the Sprint Center, right? It probably was the Sprint Center, and now it's the Advent Bank. And it's probably changed it again. So, Mardi Gras, cool. St. Louis gets a bad name. I know it has some bad areas. I know it's got some crime. Kansas City is just as bad, to be honest. Oh, cool. Kansas City can have some bad crime. And listen, there's a college town nearby. It's where Supernatural, the show Supernatural, was based, called Lawrence, Kansas. It's a college town. And my daughter and I love to go there. But sadly, there's a lot of homeless people there. And the problem is nobody has cash anymore. Like, who has cash? So even if I was going to give out money, it's just really awkward and you feel really bad, it's sad. So it's a lot of homeless people these days. But, St. Louis, what I love about St. Louis is that they have these things. They have these beautiful, very French architecture, sort of, and Grecian. I love that. You went to Lawrence, Kansas. Yeah, Lawrence is cool. Lawrence has a lot of bands. I saw James McMurtry, songwriter, son of Larry McMurtry. I saw him at the Bottleneck. Oh, really? S.E. Hinton, Susie Hinton, who wrote The Outsiders. She loved the show Supernatural, and she helped write episodes and helped direct some of the episodes. And one time on Twitter, when it was Twitter, I asked her if she'd ever been to Lawrence. I can't remember if she said, I think she did. But I would love to meet her. It's so weird. It always comes back to her because she's one of my favorite writers. And one time I was in Lawrence and there was the Supernatural car was there. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, people love that show. It's cool. It's funny because I've always just known Lawrence as that college town. And also, I got married in Lawrence. Oh, by the way, my wedding anniversary was yesterday, but I'm divorced now. So all things shall pass, as they say. What else? Okay, we went to see a little-known band called Dr. Dog. I've heard of Dr. Dog in Lawrence. Love that little town. Very eclectic. Yes. Reminds you of Paris, France. I've never been to Paris. But, Lawrence, Bottleneck. There's the Bottleneck. There's the Liberty Hall. There is, one of my favorite movies, Carnival of Souls. A lot of it was filmed there. There's the is it the Eldridge Hotel, Free State Brewery, the Waxman. There's Raven Bookstore. There's the antique store. They have a French store there that my daughter and I like, and a Brits. They have the Brits store is there. I love it. So yeah, Lawrence is cool. I love going there. I want to go there again. My daughter and I will go and we'll just walk around and we'll get some food and it's always fun. I like it. It's a very good town to walk around. Oh, nice. Must be nice. I would love to go to Paris. Someday. Someday I'll go. You see, here's Coco. Coco's so happy. She's so happy. Aren't you? Well, my friend, thank you for joining me. I'm hoping that since I did this video that the Titanic people won't make my house implode with water. I shouldn't say that. It's probably like I said today. I told them don't make. Yes, she is cute. Yes, thank you. Thanks for being here. You helped. You made it nice, warrior girl. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I hope the ghosts won't bug me anymore and have my toilets overflow and all that stuff. Love you. You have a great weekend too. Thanks for being here and take care. I'll come back on. I'll try to talk about 45 and the trial here coming up. Yeah, the power went out. Did your power go out too? That would be interesting because, yeah, that's what they did to my house. Anyway, love you. I will see you later. Take care. Bye. Happy Friday.